I believe there's power in what we do. It's not just painting a wall, we're releasing something. There's life that comes through those colours. I can think of so many artists that have just really important things to say that are not just pretty painters. What they have to bring is on a national level. People really hate the tag, but if we did not have the tag, we wouldn't have graffiti as it is today, because it all starts from a tag. I always say it, but because of Banksy, the world's opened up to street art. Right now we're standing in Fresh Gallery Otara, and this is the heart of the Pacific. The relationship I have with Otara is one of family. I grew up down the road in Pakuranga, and most weekends were spent in either Otara or Mangere, usually in the garage, and that was connecting with my family, around meetings or just around food. And then also the Otara markets, that is such a mainstay in this area, and we'd come here every Saturday to get food. In '93 I started tagging. I was introduced to the whole tagging culture from the LA influence. And then in '97, through various publications like the Source magazine, I was introduced to graffiti. Wow, I want to do this. And I discovered Mount Eden train station, and I was just like, wow, this is the mecca. So I formed a crew, and then eventually that crew fell away. And then in 1999, Fat One, who was one of the guys who established TMD, he asked me to join TMD. We always found it funny. We'd be painting out South Auckland and people would drive past and either give good comments or pull the finger or tell us to F off and get out of our neighbourhood. And I quite often remember David Tua driving past in Mangere, beeping the horn and going, yeah, woo, that's cool. In 1999, I actually tried to incorporate some of my Tongan heritage into graffiti. So I'd paint a piece, do my letters, and then I painted tapa cloth designs, tapa patterns around the piece. A lot of the work that comes from me is worked around identity. And I think that goes right back to me trying to find out who I was as a young teenager. Being a half caste, a Tongan mother and a Kiwi father, there was just a bit of confusion, Where do I fit? Who am I? So a lot of my work has been exploring this whole thing of identity. On my Tongan side, we had my grandmother who was a weaver, and she influenced us by just being around her. In Tongan society, it's only the women that are allowed to do those crafts, like the weave making, the tapa making. She was always there doing it. In the early days, I actually didn't care about the audience, to be honest. I mean, it's a graffiti movement. We were sneaking out at night and actually vandalizing our audience's property. But then obviously things have changed, and we started to do legal walls, maybe at a dairy or some kind of business. And I guess we would try to take it in consideration, but our motives were just about what we wanted to do, because we were giving them a free service. It was like, hey, buddy, you should be happy. We're beautifying your tagged wall, come on. And then obviously maturing a bit more and giving a bit more thought into what we're doing. And now there's that kind of interaction with the property owner or the community, trying to build a connection there. It's been an interesting journey. I've got that history in graffiti and quite staunch mindsets in graffiti. But in the last 2 years there's been some sort of a transition where I've been exploring other mediums, and to have a solo show in a gallery has actually been quite a desire in my heart for many years. The little men, they were actually carved on a war club, a warrior's club. The braver that warrior was, the more accolades they had, they would carve more of their stories in those clubs. If you asked the Tongan, you got them to stand in front of it, they wouldn't recognise it as a Tongan motif. Because Tongan war clubs, you won't find them in Tonga. They're actually scattered through museums right across the world. So the work that's titled Nima Tapu, it tells of a story of when the king would die and his journey to Pulotu, which is the afterlife. So Tongans believed that the king of Tonga actually needed escorts, so he journeyed safely to it. So they would actually have specialized clan that was set aside to be the Nima Tapu, which translates to sacred hands. And only these men could actually handle the body of the dead king. And they were actually buried alive with him in the ground for his safe travel to the afterlife. I understand not all murals or all paintings are going to have this big narrative behind it. But for me, I want people to experience it and come away with whatever they take from it, but really that hope would come. There's something that comes alive in me when I'm at a wall that I don't get when I'm painting in the studio. It feels like there's a lot more freedom outdoors. It's boundless. I can see the maturity in myself, but also come through in my work, where it was quite selfish, but now there's this desire to actually do some research, to understand, to put depth to it, to find a connection to the people that are going to see it. You can go into areas that might be sensitive towards certain things, so there's got to be that relationship with the people. It's not like you're going to go into a black power area and paint a big red mural. I think for me personally it's that interaction with people that I love. So I get that more working in the public because it's a public space and people come and go as they please and they say whatever they please. I think there's been more of an acceptance from the mainstream, but then also that's opened the doors for a lot of people to come in now. And I'm not saying it's an exclusive club when we should have VIP members, but with anything that starts off, as a subculture and then it becomes this mainstream thing, it can become, oversaturated. For me, it's a really good way to connect. Like you're painting at a wall, you haven't seen your mates, but there's that common ground. You're there because you all love hanging out with each other and painting. So it gets you together and you're accomplishing a goal, but also at the same time, you're catching up with each other. I really value the whole thing of our crew. We see it as a family, and we have, these kids. It's beyond just art. It's the just love and barbecues and weddings and funerals and just all that stuff. It's not just about the doing, it's the being. I believe there's this whole spiritual world going on. We're surrounded by a lot of things that are unseen, and I've had a lot of inner visions, dream language, that kind of stuff, and I see a lot, so I'm like, how can I translate that to communicate something? If you take the era that Michelangelo was in politics then they had actually artists in government. There were architects in government, so they were valued to that level. And I think our government actually should return to that, because if we only have politicians representing us, it's only one perspective. You just breathe life into people. Maybe there is no life and they walk past a painting and something strikes within them and they can't explain it, and that's okay, but they're just drawn to it for some reason, and I'm keen on that.